Chapter 1. Systems Overpowering Individuals. What The Wire understands better than almost any show is this. Human beings do not live as isolated individuals. They live inside systems. And systems have their own survival instincts. And that idea changes everything psychologically, because most people are raised on a myth. Work hard and you'll succeed. Tell the truth and you'll be rewarded. Do the right thing and institutions will support you. One courageous person can fix corruption. But in reality, institutions often punish disruption, even when the disruption is morally correct. Institutions develop self-preservation instincts. A person can feel empathy, a system cannot. Over time, institutions become machines optimized for survival. Police departments protect clearance rates, corporations protect quarterly profits, schools protect testing metrics, governments protect their public image, workplaces protect hierarchy. The original human purpose gets replaced by the maintenance of the institution itself. Psychologically, this creates a conflict between personal morality versus institutional incentives. And incentives almost always win. That's because human beings adapt their behavior to survive socially and economically. If telling the truth gets you punished enough times, your nervous system learns truth is dangerous. If obedience gets rewarded, silence keeps me safe. This is conditioning, learned helplessness, when effort stops feeling meaningful. One of the deepest psychological ideas reflected in The Wire is learned helplessness. This concept came from psychological research showing that when people repeatedly experience failure despite effort, punishment despite good intentions, lack of control over outcomes, they slowly stop trying to change their situation, even when opportunities later appear. The terrifying part is, people don't always realize this is happening to them. It becomes internalized as cynicism, numbness, passivity. That's just how life is. Emotional exhaustion. You see this constantly in The Wire. Cops stop believing reform matters. Teachers stop believing students can escape. Addicts stop believing recovery is possible. Workers stop believing loyalty matters. Young kids stop imagining futures outside the game. The system doesn't merely control behavior, it reshapes imagination. That's the psychologically devastating part. The destruction of agency. Humans need agency. The belief, my actions can meaningfully affect my future. Without agency, motivation collapses. But systems often reduce agency in invisible ways. Unstable wages, impossible bureaucracy, social class barriers, corruption, chronic stress, lack of mobility, public humiliation, surveillance, economic precarity. Over time, people stop making long-term decisions and shift into survival mode. Survival psychology changes cognition itself. Short-term thinking increases. Risk-taking increases. Emotional regulation worsens. Aggression becomes adaptive, impulsivity rises, hope declines. This is why The Wire never portrays people as simply lazy or evil. The show understands that environments alter mental functioning. A person trapped in chronic instability psychologically narrows their world to, how do I survive this week? Not, how do I build a meaningful life over 20 years? Institutional conditioning changes identity. One of the darkest truths in the show. People eventually become psychologically shaped by the systems hurting them. Police become cynical. Teachers become emotionally detached. Drug dealers normalize violence. Politicians normalize manipulation, not because they were born corrupt, but because adaptation is necessary for survival inside the institution. This resembles what psychologists call normalization. Humans can normalize almost anything if exposed long enough. Dysfunction, corruption, humiliation, violence, inequality. Eventually, abnormal conditions begin to feel ordinary. That's why people inside broken systems often defend the very structures harming them. Because psychologically, identity becomes tied to the institution. Belonging feels safer than rebellion. Uncertainty feels terrifying. So people protect systems even while suffering under them. Let's build a realistic composite story inspired by the psychological truths The Wire explores. Marcus, the good worker, Marcus grows up in a struggling industrial neighborhood. His father worked at a shipping yard for 30 years. Hardworking, reliable, proud. Marcus is taught, if you work harder than everyone else, life will reward you. So he believes in the system. He avoids gangs, finishes school, gets a warehouse job at 21. At first, he feels hopeful, the first crack in the illusion. The company constantly praises team culture. But Marcus notices managers lie about safety reports. Injured workers get quietly pushed out. Overtime is manipulated. Promotions go to connected people, not competent ones. Still, he keeps believing, if I stay honest, I'll move up. Then one winter, an older worker gets injured because broken equipment wasn't repaired. Marcus reports it honestly. Management calls him difficult. Suddenly, shifts get reduced. Supervisors become cold. Co-workers avoid him. Promotion opportunities disappear. Psychologically, Marcus experiences moral injury. The shock of discovering institutions punish integrity. Adaptation begins. At first, Marcus resists, but rent is due. His mother needs medication. His younger brother needs help. So slowly he adapts. He stops reporting problems, stops speaking up, stops caring, not because he became evil, because survival became more important than principles. This is institutional conditioning. His nervous system learns. Compliance reduces pain. Learned helplessness takes hold. Years pass. Marcus notices something changing inside himself. He becomes emotionally flat. At work, he says, it is what it is. At home, he drinks more, sleeps less, loses ambition, stops imagining a different future. His friends talk about starting businesses or going back to school. Marcus immediately dismisses it. None of that works for people like us. This is learned helplessness, not dramatic despair. Not crying, just the slow death of possibility. What makes this so tragic is Marcus is not unintelligent. He sees the corruption clearly, but systems create exhaustion, and exhausted people stop resisting. By 40, he trains younger workers to stay quiet, repeats the same cynical advice older workers gave him, protects the system unconsciously, discourages hope because hope now feels dangerous. The institution reproduces itself through broken people. That is one of the deepest truths in The Wire. Why audiences connect to this so deeply. Even people who never lived in Baltimore recognize this psychologically, because almost everyone has experienced smaller versions, being punished for honesty, realizing talent doesn't guarantee success, watching bureaucracy override humanity, feeling trapped economically, adapting to toxic environments, lowering expectations to avoid disappointment. The show resonates because it exposes a painful truth. Many people are not failing because they are weak. They are surviving systems designed to preserve themselves first. And over time, survival can quietly transform a person's beliefs, personality, morality, and sense of possibility.